not to do in Japan from the Abroad in Japan YouTube channel. So I'm going to do a reaction to this, and like everyone else who does the reactions, I have no relevant qualifications whatsoever to comment on anything other than the fact that I live in Japan. So yeah, let's go. Half-Puerto Rican fitness trainer with Japanese girlfriend responds to 12 things not to do in Japan. Alright, let's go.
I won't lie, I didn't know a whole lot about Japan before I got here. I knew
Okay.
what Pikachu was, and I'd seen The Last Samurai about 3 times.
Only
probably
3 times?
the extent of my knowledge. I actually did most of my reading about Japanese etiquette on the horrific 12-hour flight between London and Tokyo.
Ay,
I've
cabrón.
pretty much just winged it ever since. In hindsight, there are a lot of things I know now that I would have done well to comprehend before I got here. So today, I've taken 5 years of experience in the field and compiled it into this list of 12 things not to do in Japan. So when you're on your flight here, you needn't worry about reading about cultural etiquette. You can sit back, relax, and enjoy the in-flight entertainment with incredible titles to choose from, such as The Emoji Movie,
The Emoji Movie,
Valerian and the City of 1,000 Disappointments, Ace Detective,
oh my
Sherlock
boy,
Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
And I think we can all agree, of those 3 movies, the most compelling would have to be Sherlock Holmes, Ace Detective. Especially with that brilliant tagline, the world's first talking police dog on a mission impossible.
Impossible.
Mission impossible. It doesn't really work, does it?
No, it does not. Nope.
At all.
Don't.
So
eat and drink while walking.
And you're not going to get arrested by Ace Detective.
I live in Kumamoto, and I eat and drink while walking down the street all the time.
Disapproval.
Am I just a dirty foreigner?
Don't know this one until you get here.
Maybe. I don't know, but I see Japanese people doing it too.
If someone wants to eat or drink something quickly outside, they'll buy it at the convenience store and then eat it or drink it out the front. Same with vending machines. If they buy something.
Yeah, you see that a lot too. People eating outside the
The main
combini.
reason is people are very conscious about keeping the streets clean, and you don't want to ruin someone else's day by having them walk through your spilled coffee. That said, all you need to do to avoid the stare of disapproval
Or just don't spill your coffee, you
stop
slob.
and eat and drink whatever it is there and then.
Not
Maybe
you.
it's on a bench,
Not
maybe
abroad
you're standing
Japan.
beside the road, whatever.
Never mind.
Just don't walk whilst eating and drinking, and you'll be alright.
I guess.
3 things to point out here. Number 1, never put your chopsticks upright into the rice, as this is part of a ritual conducted at funerals when offering rice to the spirits of the deceased. Similarly, number 2, never pass from chopstick to chopstick, because again, this
Never
is done
pass
during
with the
funerals,
chopsticks.
to pass the bones of cremated relatives. So that kind of imagery
Oh yeah.
over dinner, as you'd expect. Probably best not to conjure up imagery surrounding death before you've even had your lunch. Oh, and thirdly, don't do the rubbing of the chopsticks. You know when you open wooden chopsticks, you like to do that.
Okay, I pause. Okay, so you can't do the passing of the chopsticks or the sticking in the stuff. But one thing you can do that looks equally as stupid, but nobody will say anything. I'm gonna go get my chopsticks. I'll show you. Okay, so here's my chopsticks. They actually have my name on them. Yeah. But anyway, one thing you can't do, if you can't use chopsticks the proper way, right? What you can do is, I just pointed with the chopsticks. Fuck. Anyway, what you can do is you can, if you don't know how to use chopsticks, you could totally just take them and just and eat your food that way. So if you're eating like meatballs or something, and you don't know, you're like, oh, I can't use chopsticks. Just take one of them and poke it like it's a spear, like you're a caveman fisherman looking for tuna or something. I don't know, but you can do that too if you don't know how to use chopsticks. But anyway, yeah, don't point with your chopsticks. That's bad.
Splinters, and just because it's fun. Everyone loves doing that, right? But don't do it in Japan because it's seen as rude.
I've never seen anyone do that before.
Saying, oh, your chopsticks are probably cheap, which, let's face it, they probably are.
They probably are. Yeah. I can tell you right now, the places they get their chopsticks are like these wholesale supermarket places, like Yomu supermarket, which is it's like a wholesale food retailer where they sell big bulks of food to people, and the chopsticks that they buy the chopsticks in like these big bags that come with, I don't know, like 500 packs of chopsticks for like go hyakuyen, like was like $5. So it's like it's like yeah, they're probably not the best quality anyway. So yes.
Probably the greatest thing about
The
Japan
tip.
ever, and the reason that I eat out several times a week, just because I save 20% automatically. In Japan, it's believed that customer service should always be exceptional, with staff giving 120% every time. 120%, 110%, 120% would be ridiculous. But it's not necessarily rude to tip someone, it just creates this awkward situation where the worker and the
Okay.
staff would feel like you're assessing their performance, and they could potentially lose face. So you might think you're being nice by giving someone a tip, but you're not. You're just creating an uncomfortable
Yeah.
situation for the worker, and they'll probably just reject your tip outright. So don't be tempted to do it.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't tip. Tipping is stupid. No country in the world should tip anyway, including America. It's just it's a really dumb thing to do. But anyway, yeah, especially in Japan. No, I've never tried to tip anybody before, but you shouldn't either. It's just not a thing here. Yeah, simply put, just don't do it.
There's a real emphasis on being mindful when using public transport in Japan that's often completely absent in many countries. Numerous
Dirty
times I've
gaijin.
been riding a train in the UK and someone nearby has been screaming at their partner down the phone, and I felt like I was part of the argument, like some kind of unpleasant 4D experience. Given Japan's density, it's especially important to be mindful when you're stuffed in a train alongside fellow commuters, many of whom are sleeping as well. With that in mind, don't ever talk on your phone on the train. That's a massive no thing to do here. And even talking loudly is looked down upon. If you're on a local train or a subway train,
Yeah, don't talk on on the train or the bus. I guess apparently, unless you're a Japanese oji-san or oba-chan, which is it means like grandma, like old, like you're an old person. Because I swear, you'll see people and they're so quiet and so respectful on the bus and the train, and then all of a sudden there's a few people that come up, and there's some person that grabs their phone like, oh, oi, そうですね。Oh, そうですか。わかりました。すいません。何を And it's just like, oh my god, うるさい. Shut up. But yeah, it's so apparently all of the social etiquette rules apply to everyone except for old people. eh, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, if you have a phone call, if it's not important, you can wait and just say, "Sorry, I'm on the train or the bus." I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't want to hear people or I want people to hear my conversation. But I mean, if it's a phone call you need to take, I mean, you could pull the whole like, "Oh, sorry, I'm on the train right now. Yeah, okay, I'll call you back later. Oh, is this important? No? Oh, okay, thank you. All right, bye bye." One of those type of deals. Nobody's gonna judge you for it. Yeah. Nobody's gonna say anything anyway. Nobody would ever say anything to you about anything. They won't even sit next to you, let alone say something to you. So yeah.
Cool there. I remember for the first few years that I lived here, whenever someone handed me a business card, I was utterly terrified because until then, business cards to me had always just been a bit of paper or a bit of card with some writing on. But in Japan, they are so much more. Once you've exchanged business cards, the trick is to imagine you've just been handed the lost treasure of El Salvador or something. First, study it meticulously, the name, the job position, the details, and then either put it in your business card holder or just put it on the desk if you're at a business meeting. Put it on the table. Never play around with business cards or put them in your back pocket because they're seen as a physical extension of the person themselves, and you don't want to stuff somebody's physical extension down your back pocket. If you're doing business in Japan, always carry business cards. You don't want to be that awkward foreigner who stood there writing out their name and number 50 times in 1 hour on the back of a tissue. And for the record, I am usually that awkward foreigner scribbling down my details because I do forget to bring them, and subsequently I hate myself when it happens.
Okay. There's some, yeah. So the easiest thing to do for the business card here, I'll get a business card and I'll. This is just some random business card here from like my apartment's company or something. But anyway, you can take it, and what you do is as soon as you receive it, they'll probably set it. I'll tilt the camera down. They'll probably set it on the table for you. Like they'll put it here, and then what you want to do is you usually want to take both hands and just adjust it a little bit, and just be like, oh, okay, 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 and then leave it. Or if they hand it to you, always take it with two hands always. And I'm just flipping this over to cover the information, and then put it down and leave it, and just leave it there the whole time. And then the important part is to, once you have the card and you're leaving, keep hold of it with the two hands and leave with it in the two hands, and don't put it away until you're completely out of sight of that person. That's probably important. So yeah, do that.
If you've got a runny nose, standard procedure here is just to keep sniffing, or just to find a toilet or a room
Yeah.
cupboard to hide in. Blowing noses in public is pretty rude. Interestingly though, handkerchiefs are pretty popular here. Not in the way you would think though. People use them to wipe sweat off in the hot summer weather, or even more commonly to dry their
Okay. With that, I mean, simply said, you don't really need an explanation for that. But I don't care if you're from America. I don't care if you're from England. I don't care if you're from Canada, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore. I don't care. Wherever you're from, blowing your nose or like sneezing or picking your nose or doing that kind of stuff in public is disgusting anyway. Like, dude, go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Yeah, so especially in Japan where they have all this like culture like that. I mean, it's rude in any country, even in America where like everybody's rude. Sorry, I'm American, but the it's still rude. Like so, especially in Japan, it's gonna be extra rude. So you just just don't do that.
in public toilets. Because surprisingly, many public toilets in Japan don't have any hand drying facilities, despite having space-age toilets that reside in the same room. It's quite a weird contrast that I don't quite understand. Physical contact in Japan isn't really a thing. You'll bow a lot,
Yeah.
nod enthusiastically daily,
Yeah.
but occasionally you might shake hands with someone if they're a good friend or a business client that
Yeah.
you get on well with. But
Just
generally,
don't touch
avoid it
anybody.
unless someone makes the first
Yeah.
move. And hugging in particular doesn't go down well. It's just met with expressions of
Mm.
awkwardness and despair. And also amongst couples, public displays of affection are phenomenally rare here. So
Yeah, don't do anything publicly like affection wise. Just don't touch people at all. But if you're with your boyfriend, girlfriend, something, holding hands in public seems to be like completely socially acceptable. I've never heard anything negative of it, and if you walk down the street in any city, you'll see, every couple holding hands. So, but other than that, everything's pretty taboo, I guess, as far as touching. Don't.
if you're the sort of person
Overly
who constantly needs to have a
opinionated.
debate or an argument about things or throw your opinions out there constantly, people will find you obnoxious and dislikable and probably just avoid you. Embedded heavily within the culture
Isn't that true for anywhere though?
avoiding conflict at all costs. And it's a lot easier to do that when people aren't at each other's
Everybody
throats
hates the
very
dude that
well.
never shuts up, right?
Sometimes it's frustrating when people are just unwilling to speak their minds or give you a clear yes or no answer. I mean, one time, one of my colleagues when I was teaching, I asked him, "Do you have any pets?" And he said to me, "Maybe my cat is dead." Maybe your cat is dead.
Maybe my cat is dead. Yeah, everything in the Japanese language tends to sound a little bit uncertain at times because of all the maybe words, I think. For example, probably when he said this guy told him, maybe my cat is dead, he probably said something along the lines of like, "Oh, 猫は多分死んでいますかな?" or 猫は多分死んでいますかな? So, which literally means, my cat is dead. Maybe I think, or maybe I think my cat is dead. It's like, well, is your cat dead or is it not? What do you mean? Maybe it is. So yeah, I understand where he's coming from here.
does that mean? It is dead or is it not dead? It's not Schrodinger's cat, is it? It turned out the cat was definitely dead, but he was just the scientist always like to use the word maybe and just not express certainty. But if there's one reason I've never seen a fight anywhere in Japan in the last 5 years, it's probably
that's every sentence people adding, kana tabun kyou wa tabun konbini ni ikimashita. It's like, maybe you went to the konbini? What do you mean? Did you or did you not? Or off of any kind of ikimashita kana? Ikimashita kana? So maybe I went, maybe. Did you or did you not? Yeah, so I get what he's saying.
this reason that people are a lot more careful about expressing their opinions and holding back what they really think. Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to film that one. Everyone seems to know this one.
Okay. Yeah.
Or going to a hot spring, you take off your shoes and switch to slippers before you go in. The easiest way of knowing if you have to change your shoes is there'll be a change in elevation in the floor. So when you go in, there'll be a little stair, and that's how you know. This is the one thing on the list where failing to stick to the rules will have noticeable results. A few years ago, a friend and I visited a public bathrooms in Kyoto, and we went in, and you're supposed to take your shoes off. For some reason, he didn't. I don't know why. I don't think he noticed or saw. There was a little old woman sitting behind the entrance counter where you kind of pay, and when we walked in, she saw that he still had his shoes on, and she shot up with terrifying energy.
Gaikokuji!
Took him to the front and was like, "Get your shoes off."
Seeing shoes on the Genkon is just a little bit strange, right? Genkon's the little elevated area.
Becoming so alive and animated by this
Or
terrible
no, Genkon's the non-elevated area. Sorry.
Take my shoes off when entering the building.
And you step up onto the floor.
For whatever reason, rubbish bins and trash cans are disturbingly rare in Japan. Outside of convenience stores, it can be a nightmare to find one. And the reason I put this on the list is because so many people, so many of you guys message me on Twitter saying, I'm in Tokyo and I can't find a bin, what should I do? I've wandered through Tokyo for up to 20 minutes sometimes.
They really are.
A bin and can't find one. The streets, though, despite that, are shockingly clean. People can't find a bin, they just take the rubbish home with them. It can feel like some kind of mini game sometimes, going in search of a bin, because when you do find a bin, you feel a real sense of achievement. But despite that, don't be tempted to litter. Just keep trying, and you'll find a bin one day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a tip for the bins, if you're trying to throw away a bottle or a can or something, just look for vending machines. There's not really designated trash bins everywhere, but in Japan there are vending machines everywhere. And usually the vending machines have next to them some kind of recycling or some kind of trash where you can throw away cans and bottles and the plastics and everything else like that. Also, if you're tip for trash, I recommend going to like a konbini and just buy something and then just get one of the plastic bags that it comes with and just use the plastic bag for nothing but trash. Or, ultra pro tip, you can't find a trash bag, just go to the konbini. Every konbini has inside of it trash bins for every trash. So they have the combustible trash, the plastic trash, the cans, the bottles inside the konbini. So you can go in there and just throw away all your trash. So you can't see a trash can outside, but you'll always see vending machines and convenience stores, which can handle all your trash. So yeah.
Seems like a fairly obvious addition to the list, and yet in the UK we just cross the street whenever the hell we want, whenever there's an opening in traffic, as opposed to waiting for the green light, same as many countries. In Japan, however, people do not cross the road on a red light. It's incredibly rare. It's one of the greatest ways of seeing this sense of order and obedience to the law that exists in Japan. If you stand at a roadside in Japan and there's no cars coming, you can't see any cars whatsoever, people still will not cross the road until it goes green. Over the years, of the many friends I've had come to visit me here, this is the thing that shocks them the most. The idea of not crossing the road, the idea of abiding by a rule that doesn't seem necessary. And yet, for me personally, the main reason I
No,
abide by
that's
it
not
is
true.
not
And
the
okay,
queues being
so in this area, the Inaka place. Okay, so if you're in like I've never been to Tokyo. I live in Kumamoto, so I don't know. But if you're in like Kumamoto City, or if you're in like anywhere like a big city area where there's tons of people, yes, they will generally wait to cross the street, right? Nobody's really gonna cross if it's red because I mean it's obvious it's a stupid idea because there's always cars going back and forth in the city and trains and buses and it's just a stupid idea to cross. But when you're in an area like this, like that's a little bit more Inaka countryside, or a place that's like kind of city but not fully city, like where I live, but I'm not gonna say. You you will see people crossing the street all the time, whether the lights change or not, and it's annoying. And as a driver, so like when I'm driving, I have to be extra careful because I know that people, especially old people, will be crossing the street all the time, whether the lights in their favor or not. So there's just always people crossing the street, and then there's the pedestrian crossways that don't have lights, and people still crossing the street anyway, and it's just like it's really frustrating. But yeah, I don't know. They say, oh, there's this obedience of Japanese law, but uh, not really. It. I mean, yeah, maybe he lives in uh, Sendai, so I can't really speak for that region of Japan, as each region's quite different. But as far as I know, like where where I live in Kyushu, I I have to be extra vigilant when I'm driving because people don't follow the lights because they always cross the street without waiting for the light to change, and it's really annoying. So yeah.
you don't want to stand out. You don't want to be this stereotypical rule-breaking foreigner. And as well as that, you don't want to run the risk of getting caught out by police. So those are two things worth taking into consideration before you dash across the seemingly empty road. Don't worry about not knowing anything about Japanese etiquette when it comes to Japan.
True.
As I said earlier in this video, there aren't going to be any real consequences to not following any of these things, apart from maybe the footwear one. That's what
Yeah.
you don't want to get dragged off by another woman. The reason I say don't worry too much is because I find a lot of people come here and they're very nervous and very anxious about
Nobody
etiquette.
does.
Etiquette they don't really comprehend.
Everybody thinks
And
they
that
know
includes
etiquette
even me when I came here.
because
I
they
didn't
watch some
know
anime
etiquette,
or something,
and I
but
was constantly
but they don't
anxious
really
and
know.
nervous that I was making mistakes. But really, as a foreigner in
Yeah.
Japan, you get kind of a free pass to make mistakes. People are understanding and they're kind and they will let you off. So don't become too nervous.
Yeah, so the etiquette, nobody's going to judge you for not knowing something. And in fact, a lot of people will probably go out of their way to like help accommodate you a bit because people are really extremely friendly in Japan. And like I mean, if you can't use if you go to a restaurant, there's still many times where I've lived in Japan for a while, but like there's still people who come up to me and they're like, "Oh, ohashi daijoubu desu ka?" Like, is it okay to use chopsticks? And I have to remember they've never seen me before. They just see a foreigner. They think maybe I'm visiting, but I was like, "Oh, hi, daijoubu." Hi, like like thank you, like, no problem. But don't worry about knowing etiquette. Nobody's gonna hold that against you at all.
About following all the rules. Do your best, but don't become a nervous wreck. So those are my 12 things not to do in Japan. But what have I missed out? Let us know in the comment section below. I've probably missed out. Don't ever be late.
Don't okay.
Don't enter a bar.
Don't ever be late.
Without having a shower.
Is there any country in the world that really like kind of lets you be late for anything? But yeah, I guess especially Japan because in Japan being late, especially for work, because in Japan work is the most valued thing in the world, and they think that being late being late to work, you can never, if you're 1 minute late to work in Japan, it's really frowned upon by everyone, right? But if your boss wants to keep you 2 hours after shift, then that's totally fine. You're 1 minute late, oh, how dare you? But you're working 10 hours of unpaid overtime, oh, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was my reaction to 12 things not to do in Japan. Yeah, I mean he's spot on for the most part. He knows he's lived here for years, but yeah, that was. If any of my views seemed pessimistic, I Maybe they are, but I think that's just something you kind of develop from living here after a while. But aside from that, whether it sounded negative or not, I do love living in Japan, and I plan on staying here indefinitely. But yeah, so don't don't be mad at me for saying negative things. You disrespected the Japanese culture. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever, I don't care. But yeah, but that's been my video. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, John A.